Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's 3:30 right now. I put in the chat the link to our demo domain. And so for those people who aren't aware, you are able to sign in with your existing production sign-on into this demo domain if you want to play around it all before the go live. I'm signed on right now as an admin for this Make Healthcare organization. And you can see that in TransIT 7, when you sign on as an admin, you have a personalized page now. So this box is showing you how many users have been on in the last hour, in the last 10 minutes. And also you can click here to see who's actually on right now. These two boxes, this one is showing you the active test rounds right now. And this is showing you if you personally are assigned any steps and scripts. It'll give you links to take you right there. Coming soon, not available today, there will be similar boxes for plans for knowing which plans are active and any plans that you have activities in. So it's kind of a useful way, quick way to get to where you need to go in TransIT. What we're going to be going over mostly today is the organization settings, because they're significantly different from TransIT 6 to TransIT 7. But I think I'll start out by saying tasks have gone away. So if you didn't hear about that before, we now have modules, which are the workflows that you currently have today are coming over as modules. Beth is clapping. The scripts that are the scenarios you have today are coming over as scripts, but tasks are gone. But if you had tasks built that you want to save, there's two different ways you can save them. One is you can take those tasks now and turn them into a workflow in TransIT 6, and then they'll be there. Or you can wait till you get to TransIT 7. Likely, if you want to keep them, it's because they were in a test script. Once they're in a test script, you can always highlight the rows, right-click, and turn them into a module. So we went over that a little bit in the testing session. But if you're all of a sudden now thinking, wow, I built a whole bunch of tasks that I actually want to keep, you don't have to worry, even though the tasks themselves are going away. As long as they were in a test script, you'll be able to get back to them. Okay, so to get to the org settings, you click this little building icon, and it brings up this whole list of org settings. Custom is important for plans. So if there's fields that, reference lists that you want to use and reuse over and over again, you should go and build them as a custom list. To build them as a custom list, they all have to start with the word custom, but all you do is you click this add custom and you give it a name. And then you click save, and then you access that, that list and begin by adding items to it. So where this would be useful is if you have team names and in your plans you want to assign things to teams, building teams out, or if you're using it for tracking. I know one of our clients is now using it for tracking their website development. So, you know, the list of statuses of articles for their website they've built out as a custom list. So this is the sort of thing that you can do here. And in TransIT now, we have this concept of marked for deletion. So we don't actually delete things, but if all of a sudden one of the items was no longer valid and you didn't want it to be available in the drop-down list where it's used, you would just click this and then it becomes invisible in the plan. So again, you're going to want to speak to whoever is using plans a lot, the most in your organization, and figure out what custom lists you want to pre-build. It doesn't stop them if you don't pre-build a custom list because they can build it on the fly. But if you have like 20 team names and you're consistently wanting to use that in your plans, they would have to manually build it each time if you don't pre-build them a list. Facilities is new in TransIT 7 in that you have complete access to it. So in TransIT 6, you had to contact us if you wanted a facility built. Now you just go ahead and build it yourself. And again, if a facility leaves your organization, you can mark it for deletion. Issue categories, those are coming over from TransIT 6, so there's nothing really new there. If you don't like your issue categories and you want to go in and change them now in TransIT 6, then they'll come across to TransIT 7. Or you can inactivate ones that you haven't been using, and then it'll be clean in TransIT 7. The next thing, though, is the issue impact. So issue impact is different. So in TransIT 6, we have issue priorities. In TransIT 7, we have issue impact, issue severity, and those two things together, by use of the priority matrix, automatically drive what priorities get assigned to your issues. So for impact, we have defined large, extensive, limited, and localized in this fake area. It works the same as it worked in TransIT 6, that if you put a sequence in, it sequences it. Otherwise, it's alphabetical. So here we've sequenced these so that the biggest impact is first and the smallest impact is last. Although when I look at it, they're alphabetical anyway, so I guess it didn't need to be. And it's the same thing, you can mark for deletion, but we also have the concept of default selection. So if you want every, and some people do, if you want every issue to default to the lowest one and make people change it if they want to, then if you pre-tick this box, every time I log an issue, it's going to automatically start as localized, and I would have to manually change it. So that's impact, and you don't have that in TransIT 6. So you're going to have to build that out on Friday. If you don't, people will not be able to choose it in the drop-down box. So you're going to want to put some thought into what you want here. So then the next one is priorities. And priorities, you see, we've built them here as P1, 2, 3, 4, so which is the top priority. You can build it as anything you like. You can make it top, you can make it, second, you can make first, second, third, fourth. You can make it anything you like, but in this case here, we're showing that, okay, the one that was called blocker we got rid of, and we just have P1, 2, 3, 4. And then we did also build out question, and question isn't something that's driven by the matrix. So question would be if you blank out the impact and the severity, you can then choose the priority manually of question if you want to choose that. And these are just suggestions. You don't have to use question if you don't want. So then the next thing is then severity, which also doesn't exist in TransIT 6. So again, this is something you're going to have to build out. Your priorities will all exist. So you're going to want to go and look at those and see if you want to change them. This you'll have to build from scratch. So again, we chose critical, high, medium, low with a description of what those things mean. And in this case, it isn't actually alphabetical. So I did need to sequence them there so that I could have the most important at the top. So once you've got your priorities, your severity, and your impact built, the next thing that you're going to need to do is build out this. I won't bother with statuses because statuses are the same as you have now. But then you're going to have to build out this issue priority matrix. And again, this is just what we've suggested. You can build it any way you like, and all you have to do, yours will be blank, and you'll have to go in. Your drop-down list here will list anything that you've built in the priority. So you see the blocker doesn't show because I have that marked for deletion, but I've got P1, 2, 3, 4 in question. So what we've gone in is we've said if it's a critical issue with an extensive impact, then we want it to be P1. If it's high and extensive, we want it to be P1. If it's critical and large, we want it to be P1. And then, going across the line, then it's less P2, P3, and so on. With nothing low being ever to qualify higher than a P3. So you need to put some thought into what you're going to put in here. And again, if you don't use P1, 2, 3, 4, if you use, showstopper or blocker or whatever, then that's what's going to show up in here. Then the only thing that I'll show is in note status, you're going to like that there's an ability to set a default. So you probably want all your notes to start as new. So by choosing a default selection of new, the user doesn't have to choose that. The same is true for your note types. 95% of notes that have been logged in transit for the last 12 years were script changes. So you might as well go in and make that the default selection, and then people as well won't have to um, choose that each time. So you've got the ability to do the default selection. You might want to take this time to look at what you've been using in your note types and see if they all make sense, or if you want to change the verbiage around, or inactivate ones on the Transit 6 side so they don't come across. But at any rate, it is nice to be able to say the default selection is script change, and save people time when they're logging notes. Plan category is a new thing. And so this is the ability to set up categories that can be used in plans. So the nice thing about having those set up is that people don't have to type in and free text things in if they don't happen to be showing on the screen, and you can organize them. So, it depends on what you're using plans for. So for example, like I said, the one client site who's using it for web development might want to create a category of web development. Completely custom, completely up to you. All you have to do is click the add plan category, and you see we didn't even bother building descriptions here. Positions hasn't really changed. Your positions will be coming across, and your logins what will be coming across, but the logins, it's flatter now. So it used to be that you could set a specific username and password for a position at a facility level or at a organization level, and it was just too complex. So that doesn't exist anymore. So now you've got position, vendor, username, and password. And if you did have a situation where for a specific facility they had a specific password, then you would have to, somehow change the position name. So you would have your accessioner, and then you would have your accessioner, make facility or whatever it is. So that is slightly different. I don't know if anybody was using facility specific passwords. That would be the only impact, was if you were currently using that, you'd have to assess what came across. If you are using facility specific passwords, I would suggest you export your current list just so that you can go back in and make sure afterwards that you've added back in the facility passwords that you needed. Because again, we have nowhere to put it in Transit 7. Projects. So projects used to be on the tasks page that you would access your projects from there. Now it's under the org settings. And again, any projects that you have built will come over and will be here. Now, you will also have a project called deleted. So the point of the deleted project is if you've got content, we don't really delete anymore in Transit. We don't, or inactivate. So if you want to get rid of a test script, then what you would do is change the project to be the deleted project, and it would not show on the scripts page. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, if you can't remember what we said about the deleted a week down the road and you need to know, obviously just log a ticket to the support desk. But basically, we don't get rid of content, we move it to this deleted bucket. So if you're in modules and scripts and there's something you want to get rid of, there's no way to get rid of it except by going in and changing the project and choosing the project of deleted. So these are all current state. If I wanted to say, okay, I don't want this module anymore, I would go in and I would do change project and I would move it to deleted, and it would drop off my list because the deleted doesn't show here. If you delete some stuff and in the future you want to bring it back, what you would do then is you would go over here to projects and you would temporarily take this tick box off, and then your deleted content would show again. But again, what we're trying to do is streamline everything as much as possible, make the speed of transit as good as possible. So you're not going to want your deleted content to show for a long period of time. So that's the most interesting thing about project there, is remembering that you can get your deleted content back by removing this, and to remove content from modules and scripts, and plans too, for that matter, you would mark them for, you would change their project to be the deleted project, and then they wouldn't show. Nothing really different about roles. Roles came across. Script details is different. So what we did was we brought across all of our existing global script details to each of your organizations, but you have the ability now to resequence them if you want. So if you change the sequence number, they're going to show up in a different order. You have the ability to add your own. Adding your own, I would only suggest that you do if it's something specific to your organization. If there's something that you think we don't have in the header details, I would still log a ticket to support to just discuss it with us. Because if it's something new and we are probably going to build content around it, then you're probably good to talk to us and say, hey, we're thinking about adding this scenario header detail. Because if we add it in the exact same spelling that you add it, then you can share our content. If you change the spelling, so if you decided you didn't want to call it patient first name, you just wanted to call it first name, then you couldn't share any of our content where we've chosen patient first name. So that's something for sure that you want to consider. But the other thing you want to consider is this default selection. So I've gone through and I've selected some things here that I think we routinely use in all our test scripts. And by coming in and saying this is the default selection, when I create a new test script, and save that, when I go to the header, it's going to pull all of those fields automatically in for me. So that is going to save your test script builders a lot of time. So again, you're going to want to, admins and test script builders are going to want to sit down together and decide what you want to have defaults there. Users, if you look at the number here, this is the current number of active users. If you go inside here, it's going to show your active and inactive here. You know it's inactive if it's got the head and the cross beside it. So again, we don't delete anything, but it's easy to tell which ones are inactive by that. If you want to clean up your inactive users before you get over, they're still going to come across as inactive. So all users will come across because they might have been used in an issue or somewhere else. So we don't let you get rid of them. But again, you know, not a bad idea to go in and sort by the last logon date. And if somebody hasn't logged in since 2020, they probably are not really an active user. And then you can either inactivate them now or inactivate them when you get across. The vendors, I think what we brought across for everybody was all of the vendors you have active and all of the applications underneath those. But what's happened in TransIT 7 is in TransIT 6, we had product, application, and function, and now we just have application. So it's a flatter and easier system to use, and it's also not dependent on us. So it used to be that you used to have to get your vendor names from us. Now we did bring across the ones you already have so that the things that are built that you're using are going to keep the same name that we had. And again, that's more for content than anything else to make sure that you have the names that we've used. And it's the same for the vendor applications. We brought across all the vendor applications for the vendors that you have active because of that same thing. So that you would have the name that we had used when we built content. The other thing that I'll go over is the issues. So issues has a couple of cool features. And if you've sat through the other sessions, you will have seen it already. But as an admin, you're often the one, or a testing coordinator, you're often the one who's managing the round of testing. And one of the things that you typically do is update who issues need to be assigned to. So if I wanted to go in and filter, first of all, to anyone who doesn't have an assigned to, it looks like I actually have already filtered to that, then and select the ones on the list, then right click, I've got this ability to view the selected issues. And what this is going to let me do is go through and mark which ones I've updated. So in this case, if I'm going to assign this to Tamra, Then you see it change the color to be a blue over here. So I know I've already done that one. If I want to do this one now, because for some reason I wanted to skip one, I go in here and I'm going to assign this to Tamara as well. Then you can see it updated that one to blue. So a really cool way to quickly work through a list. And this isn't just for assigning. This is if I also wanted to go in and look at all of my issues that were in whatever status, then I just filter to it, highlight, select it, right click and say to view the selected issues. So pretty cool feature here. Another new feature is the ability to bookmark. Currently, it's only one bookmark that you can build. In the future, it'll be more than that. But if you want to go in and build a bookmark, you can say open issues, select my statuses, select all the ones that I know are open for my organization, and then click Save View, and it saves that as an open issue. So anytime you go in, that will be there until you remove it. If I want to remove it, I go into bookmarks and I say remove views. So again, right now I'm pretty confident you can only build one, but I'm not sure when that'll be enhanced. It'll be soon that's updated. The other thing about issues is if you click add new issue from here, it gives you this window to add your issues in, and it's a much streamlined window. So on the test page, if they click on the issues there, it automatically will populate the vendor and application in the background, so that won't show. But for plans and for the new issue here, your vendor and application will show so that you can select it. You also have the ability now to put in a screenshot. So if I'm on this page and I want to put in a screenshot, then I can go and do that screenshot. Click here, paste it in, and it'll save it as an image attachment. So then when I go and I look at that issue afterwards, it'll show as an attachment with a preview. Anywhere else, if I'm the analyst and I'm working on it and I want to show a different screenshot, once I'm inside in this add new comment window, it's not going to show as an attachment. It's just going to actually show as the screenshot, but much nicer. And you can put text in with the screenshot. So if I realized, okay, I put this in, but I didn't give them any information, I can go back in and I can edit the so I can put, text before or after the image and then save. Then in here, I didn't fill in things on the outside like the severity. So again, you can see if I fill in the severity of extensive. Not sure why my severity isn't showing there. Impact of. Don't know. Oh, haha, it's because extensive wasn't one of the choices. So my severity of critical and my impact of extensive, then you see it automatically defaulted in the P1. I think those were all the things that I had planned to show. So I'll stop now and ask if anybody has any questions about any of the things I've shown. Okay, if not, reminder that Thursday end of business is when we will be starting the cutover to TransIT 7. So if there's things you want to address between now and then, do. I've reached out to the lead admins at each of the sites and asked that they validate their data. The only thing that's come back so far was that the issue page was giving an error message, and that's been addressed. And also, briefly, you couldn't inactivate users. You can inactivate users again. So we have no open P1 issues. And so again, please go in, play. If you have questions, send emails to support@makesolutionsinc.com. And we'd love feedback as well. We really feel like it's a lot faster than it was. Completely new architecture, completely rewritten, and we hope that everybody enjoys it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.